Mishra, founder and managing partner at Trust Legal. Mr. Mishra is one of the leading environmental lawyers in the country. Happy New Year, Mr. Mishra. Thank you for joining us on this show today. It's a pleasure to have you. You've seen this entire story unfold today, and you've seen the odd-even scheme come into play. And by most measure, I would consider it to be a symbolic move as such, where they had to take some sort of a remedial action, and they did take it. I don't know how much it's going to impact vehicular pollution and in what way it's going to reduce, but purely as a symbolic move, is it a good move?
Yes, it's surely a good move. And I think the starting of the odd-even formula, which was started by the NCT government, I think it's very encouraging what we have seen on Delhi roads today. And it really shows promise, but the real test will start on Monday and Tuesday when the office goers will be back. Absolutely. Because they're mostly holidaying. And the only thing is that it's a much bigger battle, and odd-even formula or vehicular traffic is just one part of the problem. You are talking about an ancient city which has 3 World Heritage sites in Delhi, like Qutub Minar, Lal Qila.
Precisely.
And you are talking about a city which has more than 140 embassies. You are talking about a city which the whole world is watching for its economic growth and its chances of becoming an important player in the world.
Precisely. I remember there was a time when there was this entire conversation about the Taj Mahal suddenly turning yellow.
Exactly.
And those concerns have lingered on for a while, and this is years ago.
So that spotlight has now come to Delhi.
Precisely.
It has come nearer to, from Taj Mahal, it has come to Lal Qila.
Exactly.
So if that is the perception issue we are talking about, we have to start delinking ourselves from the perception that we had more cars than Bombay, Chennai and Calcutta put together. And that I'm talking about 89, 90 when I had come to college. So when the courts, which I think the turning point was that in 2015, whether it's National Green Tribunal or Honorable Supreme Court or Delhi High Court, took upon petitions after petitions, and they kept on saying that you have to deal with this issue on an emergency basis. And that is what is the crux of the issue, that you have picked up vehicular traffic as one. Now you have to go on for the construction activity, which has to be regulated in a much better manner. The dust is a big issue. A lot of studies are showing that it has a major contribution towards this. And you have to also clear a lot of doubts, and the government has to really work towards its enforcement machinery.
But Mr. Mishra, now, like if you take a look, for example, like you said, it's almost reached an emergency-like level now, where it's resulted in these knee-jerk reactions that, oh, let's ban diesel and let's do that. Would you think bans are the way forward? Like, for example, the Delhi government had said that there was a plea to the citizens that please don't burst firecrackers on New Year. When you celebrate New Year, the coming of 2016, like please refrain from using firecrackers. People didn't seem to cooperate with that. I was out last night, there were firecrackers going all over. It does contribute to pollution. It shows a kind of mindset, where people cooperate with difficulty. So are bans the way forward? Like, do we have to ban people from doing things?
I don't think bans actually are going to affect the conduct of people in the long run. And I don't think the governments or the courts are expecting that citizens have to be forced into a particular situation. But I think the most important part is that the more and more we talk about the health challenge at hand, that is something which always appeals to people. When dengue was happening or other swine flu was happening, that was something which people were really worrying about their health. So what we did when we were doing the petition, we made sure that we talked about a health emergency in the city. So I think the real important factor would be that when Delhi and all of us will realize that vehicles surely have to go in the direction where they are going to emit less. Our fuel quality has to improve drastically. Our garbage disposal has to improve. Our burning of the crops have to improve. I think the governments around Delhi also have to work together. It can't be an isolated process where one particular government is doing an odd-even formula, but you have 3 other state governments or 4 other state governments surrounding. They all have to put their mind together. They all have to come back with a very solid plan to really address to this issue, because the whole world is watching you.
Yeah, which is also what I want to come to, like other forms of pollution. For example, there was this IIT Kanpur study that came out. In fact, I have some numbers in front of me now. If you look at this, so it says that road dust is the biggest threat to decent air quality levels in Delhi. Others are burning of biomass, and they've actually even given the figures. So, for example, what they say is vehicular pollution contributes 9 to 20% of particulate matter pollution. Biomass burning contributes 17 to 26%, which is way more than vehicular traffic. Incineration of municipal solid waste, which is 6 to 7%. Then secondary particulate matter, and that settles at 25 to 30%. I mean, that makes diesel cars almost seem like minnows as far as particulate matter is concerned.
So I would say that the Honorable Delhi High Court, when it was passing the order on 3rd of December, that was the date for me when actually all this has started. They have talked about the dust, they have talked about the construction activity, they have talked about the garbage disposal, and they have talked about the bigger issues which are beyond vehicular traffic alone. And the second thing is that the governments have to realize that developmental activity have to go hand in hand with environmental protection.
Right.
Because that's the different part. That's not something to do with the health directly. So if your developmental goals are not linked with environmental protection simultaneously, your health bills will go up.
Precisely.
So the entire process will come to something which is not of much value.
Precisely. So my last question to you, since we're running out of time now, what do you think is the solution? People have already started carpooling and they're making an effort. So we are seeing some sort of effort on the part of people. What do you think would be solutions going forward from here?
Going forward, solution would be that we all have to start looking up to the governments to give us access to the public transport, because the accessibility will be an issue, because you can't just take the public transport the way you take it in London and Paris and other places.
Precisely.
Even if the governments expect us to junk our car and start taking the public transport, that's a tall order. The second part would be that the other aspects of dust and construction activity related regulation of Delhi has to happen in a holistic manner with the whole of National Capital Region as a problem area. If Noida or Greater Noida or Surajkund and Faridabad are left out in any plan which we are making on air pollution, then in my understanding, this is not something which is going to be bound by geographical indicators.
Absolutely. Right. Thank you, Mr. Mishra, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I hope whoever's been listening from the government as well as the people of Delhi take cue from that and become more responsible, and we have to do this together eventually. We live here.
Thank you, Areeb.
So, thank you so much.
Happy New Year to everybody.
And on that note, it's time to slip into a short break, but don't go anywhere. We'll